Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Kerry Brown. I'm known as Coach Kerry, and this is Hang Out with Coach Kerry, episode 36. Are you an entrepreneur that, you've identified your product, or your service that you've had, you know who your marketplace is, you've already got some traction, you've had lots of clients or customers, and what you're finding is every time you're having to go back and find brand new ones over and over again. So the title of this one is Don't Love Them and Leave Them. And what I mean by that is don't love them, don't give them the great service, the great product, whatever it is that they consume or buy from you, and then leave them alone. You want them coming back. You want them to become their raving fans. You want them to become multiple purchases of whatever you offer. And today's episode is how do you do that? So if you're interested in that, please stay all to the very end of this and send me your comments of what you think about this particular episode. So this is episode 36. So I'm honored today to have two of my VIP Academy members on as my panelists, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves to you. I'm going to start with Bonnie Mitchell. Bonnie, tell our audience a little bit about you and what you do and how they can connect with you.
Thanks, Kerry. Good morning. Always a pleasure to be here. I am Bonnie Mitchell, and my company is Mitchell Creative, and it's a boutique design company that does graphic design for businesses. And I help businesses all over the world increase their sales and revenue by creating a complete complement of creative marketing material that will help them easily and effectively market to their target audience. And I can be found at bonniemitchell.ca.
Great. Excellent. Thanks, Bonnie. And then over to you, Dr. Diana. Tell us about you.
Thank you, Kerry. I'm Dr. Diana Galbraith, and I have a company, First Get Healthy. And as a former physician, what I've seen is many businesswomen especially, they pour themselves into their business, into their family, often at the expense of their own health. And so what I do is I really help them get back on track. And it's not about big steps, it's about little things that they can do, little changes they can make to really make a big impact on their health in the long term. So that's what I do, and you can find me at www.firstgethealthy.com, and that's first as in one ST gethealthy.com. Thank you.
Great, excellent. So I'm excited about this episode because both Bonnie and Diana have lots of customers that they've had, lots of people who've purchased their products and services, and so now it's about how to keep them coming back over and over and over again. So Bonnie, Diana, why don't we start with you today? Why don't you ask me a question first off?
Okay. The question always comes, because you want to have a balance of not too much and not too little, but how often should you be contacting previous customers to stay in the loop, to keep you foremost in their mind without being obtrusive in their life?
That's a great question, and what I will tell you is often we make those decisions through our own filters. And so what's really important is for you to check your own filter about what you think is too often, because you're not your customer. They may have a totally different perspective on it than you might. So that's the first thing, is to check the filter by which you're making that decision. And then the second thing is it depends on what strategies you're using, and we're going to talk about that today, because if you're using multiple different strategies, then it's going to feel different than if you're using the same one over and over and over and over again. And it also depends on your particular business. If you are a fairly big ticket item, then it may not be something that you are in touch with people as often. If you're a smaller ticket item, maybe more often. And it also may be what's your intention of it. If it's just to have them keep coming back, then it's different if you want than if you want them to keep you top of mind for getting referrals. So for an example, if you happen to be a real estate agent, for an example, you may want to be in touch more often, knowing even though the ticket item's pretty big and the average person may not buy or sell real estate anywhere between 5 to 7 to 10 years, depending upon where you're located, you may want to keep yourself top of mind so that they, and when they're talking to their friends and family, that they may keep you top of mind. But if you're a florist, for an example, you may want to keep in touch really regularly, because there's always an occasion to be providing flowers. So it really depends on a combination of things. What is at an absolute bare minimum every 90 days, absolute bare minimum every 90 days with every past customer. But there are opportunities where I'm going to suggest that it's much more often than that, and especially if you're doing a combination of ways in which you're getting in touch with people. So does that maybe lead into a second question you might have? Diana? Oh, Diana, you're on mute, honey. Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that. I had a small interruption there in my household. Maybe ask Bonnie her question for one moment. I just need to go deal with an issue here, if that's okay.
Okay, sure. So Bonnie, how about you ask me your first question?
Okay. So my question is, what is the best way to keep in touch? What is the best way to keep clients coming back? So should I be focusing on a marketing approach, or should I be creating more of a dialogue with these people?
Right, okay. So your question more has to be, in other words, what various strategies you might use. So, yeah. So Bonnie, what I'm going to do is, and for everyone who's watching this live, I'm actually going to put glasses on because I made a bunch of notes and I don't want to forget some of them. So there's lots of different strategies that you can use. You know, the simple and most elegant way is to pick up the phone. Sometimes we think we have to be fancier than that, but really picking up the phone is really a key way of keeping in touch with people. You get an opportunity to actually hear their voice, your voice, and there's a deeper connection that happens when you actually have that phone call. You could also do some personal visits. So if your particular clientele and your customers happen to have a location for their business, stop in, see them, pay a personal visit, even book an appointment to come in and just say, hey, I want to just check in with you and see how you're doing. Because again, there's nothing that can replace that personal connection. Even if you're being in touch with people using all kinds of electronic or other kinds of media, that personal connection is really one of the ones that I'm going to recommend you have high on your list. The other one is what I'm going to call, newsletters. So those are either paper newsletters or it can be an online newsletter through email. And you might even do a combination of both of those. Remember, I started this episode by saying that how often will it, I'm going to really recommend you use a number of different strategies. So your homework at the end of this one's going to be is to look at the combination of those and put together a calendar of the various ways that you're going to be in touch with people. Another one is you could use things like postcards or rack cards. So you could be mailing those out to people so that you've got them, that you can be just another way, another visual, another kind of contact that you can be in touch with them as well. And of course, Bonnie, I know that's exactly down your alley. You have a lot of clients that would use you for a lot of that type of thing. Don't forget just the plain old letter. Letter either on a letterhead, something tactile for people. What's happened is that with postage rates having gone up, and of course email and everything at free, then people tend to be using those technologies instead of a letter. Or I'm going to put / a card. That don't underestimate that personal contact. The handwritten card. At certain times of year, it's really nice to get a handwritten card, and maybe at a different time of year than maybe everyone else is hearing from other people as well, or when they're hearing from everyone else as well. So think about that way that could maybe be reaching out to them in a different way than maybe they're used to. And of course, you can always use email. Email is a great way that you could be in touch with them from time to time. So that's in addition to maybe an HTML newsletter. What I'm talking about is just a straight, direct email to them as well. Blogs, offering opportunities for them to be able to get information from you, keep in touch from you by a blog. So you're going to be maybe reminding them there's a blog post that there could be of interest to them. And then you can also do surveys. And by no means is this list exhaustive. This is just 10 of them that I've thrown in here. But really, you think of your business and think about other ways, other unique ways that you can be in touch with people. So surveys is another way. So mix up the year where maybe one of your contacts with people could be a survey, or maybe even every couple of years. Put surveys into that mix as well as another method to be able to connect with them as well. So Bonnie, did that get your ideas flowing in terms of what strategies you might use to be in touch with people?
Yeah, absolutely, Kerry. There's a good, good, well-rounded way to keep in touch with people there.
Good, excellent. Okay, so Diana, back to you and your question for me.
Yes, thank you, Kerry. My question is, so besides the obvious advantage of having clients buy more from you, are there other advantages to staying in contact?
Great question, because sometimes we think that customer service is just about them coming back and buying from us again. Actually, often we think customer service is just about dealing with them when they're our current customer. And of course, today's episode is about once they're no longer your current customer, how do you keep in touch with them so that they will become an ongoing customer and a source of referrals and connections for you. So yes, there's lots of other benefits from them. You know, one of them is that you can keep them abreast of any new changes or things that are happening in the marketplace. So you could tell them, you know, things that might affect them. You know, one of the things I recommend you do is you think about who your audience is, and part of your research is to be being aware of what's going on in the industries, what trends there are. There could be certain statistics. So you could be giving them that information, which is a huge value add, and that you might put into a separate email, private email to them, that you might have noticed something or an article or something like that. So it's a benefit to them as well, but also it's a benefit to you, because when you keep in touch with them, especially if it's the personal visit or the phone call or a direct email, you might be they might tell you about things about their particular situation that you knew nothing about. So they've taken on a new product line or a new division in their business, or they've expanded, or they've moved into a retail space, and you have no idea what's happening unless you're in touch with them. So the benefit to you is it keeps you abreast of their situation as well. Also, you know, you might inform them of any new policies you might have. So there may be a new way in which they can consume your product or service because of a new policy or procedure you have in place. But also they might have some as well. So they might have some new policies that they might be now, you know, quarterly offering a certain thing to either staff or to their customers, and so you might be able to be of service to them, that they might not even be thinking about that. But you wouldn't have that information unless you were in touch with them. You also might learn some information about their competition and send that information to them. So if you see something that's happening, a trend regarding competition to their business, well, wouldn't it be great to be able to provide that information for them, to be that resource for them? Wow, you know, they get an email about this that they didn't even know about. But also, you can keep tabs on your competition's opportunity to kind of steal your client's business. So, you know, in that conversation, you might find that they might be using someone else's services that's quite similar to yours. So you, by connecting with them again, then you might establish for them what you maybe do differently, or what makes you unique, or that you could even offer that. They might not even realize that you could offer that to them. So that's great. You learn about their financial situation, if things are growing and expanding, or if they're not. So that might help you with that. Any new business segments that come out of a conversation, you might be talking to them, and in that conversation realize, oh, if I offered this, maybe they would come back. But you wouldn't know that unless you had that opportunity to talk to them about it. The seasonality of the business. You know, understanding your customer's seasonality will help you in terms of understanding how you can provide information to them. I mean, I know Diana, with you in terms of getting healthy, that certainly the new year is always a big time for people to do that. But what about, you know, summer barbecue time or something like that? Or, you know, how do you go on vacation? And, you know, there's a whole bunch of things. So think about the seasonality of your client, how you might be able to help them. Bonnie, you know, for you, you might be thinking about where you could help them in terms of seasonality of their business, because every business is going to have their own season. So by learning more about them, you could be in touch with them about what might be a good opportunity ahead of time. In other words, keeping them, you know, being the resource for them that says, you know, this might be a really good time to do rack cards. Wow, okay, I didn't think about that. Or door hangers or something like that. So, and again, we kind of talked about this a bit, but it really keeps your competition out. You know, constant vigilance with your customer will keep your competition out. If you ignore them, don't show them the love, aren't in touch with them, then somebody else is building a relationship with them. And so it's an opportunity for them to be able to get in and maybe make that connection. And the other thing too is it's going to build an information base. So in that, especially in the ones where you're having some kind of a connection, where you're having a conversation with them, there's information that you can get that there's no way that you'd be able to get that information. So be on the lookout for information and data that will help you about maybe your overall customer base. Maybe your market's shifting a little bit. Maybe they're starting to buy products a different way. So how will you respond to that? And the only way you'll get that is by being in touch with them. So that was a lot of benefits, but did that get you thinking, Diana, about all those reasons why you might want to, and maybe help you get over that resistance maybe of being in touch with them more often?
Yeah, no, that was great. I never thought of all those reasons. There's so many different reasons. I mean, it makes so much sense. So thank you.
Great, excellent. So Bonnie, I think you've got probably maybe another question for me. We've got lots of time left. So what would be the next question you might ask me?
Well, I actually think you answered it for me, Kerry, because my next question was, what should I be contacting them about? And you definitely gave, you know, a lot of good examples there, but is there anything that you have to add to that?
Well, I'm going to actually even go deeper in that question for you now, because I've made some notes on this, and I think what might stumble or cause people to procrastinate in doing this is they're thinking, well, I'm going to be contacting them too often, because they think all they're going to be contacting them about is the same thing, buy, 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 buy. Would you guys both agree with me on that one?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because we think that that's our only reason, and of course when we are contacted by people that's their only reason for being in touch with us, that it tends to offend us sometimes. So we again extrapolate that and say that's going to be the same thing. But again, here's what some of the things you can do. And this is where you want to design this program to have a mix of communication methods and reasons. So one of them is, you know, updates on your organization. Let's say you brought on someone to assist you in it. You've maybe taken on a new division in it. So any kind of updates that you can bring them up to speed on, wouldn't that be great? What about any other things, like maybe you might have a sale on something. So there might be a discount on one particular thing. So you want to be able to make them aware of that. And in hand with that could be a promotion. So if you bought this, you might get this as well. So you might have a sale or a promotion you could be in touch with. You might have a manufacturer's promotion. So there could be a supplier that you get something from. Or you might be on the lookout of something that might be a good connection with the business that you do and someone else. So maybe there could be someone that you might have a joint venture with, where you could joint promote that would be a value add or a benefit that they could that your past customer could have, that you're informing them about. Any special financing. So let's say, for an example, you've got a package of anything new, and you, rather than a lump sum, if that's how they've been paying you in the past, you've decided you're going to offer a 3-payment plan or something like that. So they might not even be considering that, or maybe even using your services because they're aware of what that might cost them. But by informing them that it's time to do something new in their business, and in order to kind of make it easy for them, you're offering this. So tell them about a finance plan. Any new products or services, anything new that you've got, any new package or any new anything. I mean, for me, I'm constantly creating new offers for my customers so that they know what options that are out there, so that may bring them back, that while we might have worked on this as a client, that this may be a time of year when this might be a good thing to work on. So I'm always thinking of those opportunities. So I've got to communicate that with them. You might have new minimum orders, for an example. So if there's a particular minimum price package that you might have had, or product cost or whatever, and you might have brought in something that's cheaper, or maybe there's even an increase now that your new packages are. It's just another way of keeping them informed. Updates about the marketplace. So that isn't necessarily about their market, but on your market. There could be some information that they might not even know, that there's the things that could help them think about, oh, well, I might be able to use that, or oh, gee, that's interesting. That's a new way of doing things, or ease of ordering, or a new website. There could be maybe you haven't been doing an online newsletter and now you want to, so you're going to be in touch with them and asking them if they'd like to get that information from you. Any community service that you might do. So if you are involved in the community, so updates on any PR that you've got, any awards that you've got, any new memberships you've got. So you can see it can go on and on and on and on and on, right, in terms of opportunities to be able to communicate with them. And one thing I forgot when I was talking about methods of being in touch with them, we're using one method right now that wasn't around a few years ago, and that is using Google Hangouts. So maybe offering your customers or your past customers an opportunity where you might have a little educational piece that you might use a technology like this or video. The other thing too is communities. As most of my subscribers know, and you do as well, I have a community called Passport to Growth Academy, Coach Kerry's small business community on Google+. So people can join. They can join it for free. They can, I give them free tips and resources and things that are there, but that's an opportunity for me to be able to communicate with them and be in touch. So, it's important to me that not only prospective customers might go there, but why not past customers go there as well? And so it's a way for me to communicate with them and be in touch. There are lots of businesses these days that create private Facebook communities as well for people that are past customers of theirs as well. So that's another way. So there's always new technologies and new ways of keeping in touch. Pinterest, So there's lots of ways. So I really want you guys to be thinking creatively about all the ways in which that you can be in touch. So Bonnie, did that maybe answer your question and more?
Yes, definitely answered it and more. So lots to choose from there. That's really great. It's nice to have all those options.
And so, today I know I covered off a lot of stuff. For those of you who are listening to this, make sure you pause this recording so that you can write them down. I probably could have divided this into a couple of episodes, but I really wanted to get you thinking about, oh, wow, I'm not going to be bombarding people because what is it going to look like? So now here we come into the homework segment of this. And what I want you to do is I want you to create a schedule. I want you to create a schedule of who is going to be in touch. So first of all, you have to decide, is it going to be you? Are you going to be the one who's going to be in touch? You might have a virtual assistant. You might have a staff member who's going to be in touch. So decide who's going to be in touch first. You have to decide on the methods. So this is homework. What are the various methods that you're going to use? And don't start with 10, because chances are when it comes to implementation, 10 you may not embrace. So what's going to be the first one and how often? So put that method together, or what is it going to be, what's going to be the process, and then put together a schedule. So what's that schedule going to look like? How often? So who, the method, and the schedule. Then what you also want to do is set aside some time to review it. I'm a huge fan of review. So when are you going to review? Is this working? What's the engagement that I have? If it's an online newsletter, how many people are opening it? How many responses back do I get from this? If I've done a survey, what are the results? So review that and then analyze any data that you get from it, because that data is going to be worth gold if you are using all of these various methods. So put together that plan so you know what is it going to look like. Again, who's going to do it, what's going to be the method, schedule it, review the information, the data that's there, and analyze it so that you know exactly what kind of results you're getting. And then rinse and repeat and do that over again. So I'm going to encourage all of you to say, okay, at one point you might like to have 5 different ways of being in touch with people. So start with one, then start with the next one, start with the next one, and start with the next one. And I'd like you to have that all in place in the next 30 days. That's going to be my challenge to you, is to really think about what's it going to look like for you to keep in touch with your customers. So again, you're not going to love them and leave them. You're going to love them, and you're going to love them, and you're going to keep loving them, all these various different ways. And they're going to keep coming back to you, and they're going to become raving fans of you because they're going to love how you're taking care of them. So I'm excited about the opportunities for you to be able to grow your business and expand it from this. So panelists, tell me what what's your key thing you're taking away from today that our audience would maybe help them kind of focus on maybe that one thing as well. So Diana, why don't you go first?
I think for me, how you summed it all up there, Kerry, and make a plan. Because it's nice to listen to everything, but unless you actually put it in writing and decide you're going to do it, it doesn't get done. So you gave so much great input, so many great ideas. I'm going to go back and review this session, but I'm going to make that plan because I think that's the key to taking the knowledge you've given us and implementing it.
Great, excellent, and you know, Diane, it's no different than you are working with people in terms of getting healthy. They've got to have a plan, and so every aspect of your business has to have a plan, and especially this one because you've already earned them as a customer. You've got the know, like, and trust factor going. Make sure you don't love them and leave them. So Bonnie, over to you. What are you taking away from today's episode?
Well, I have started creating a social media plan, but after hearing all the different ways of keeping in touch with your clients, I really realized that I have a lot of information that I can share with them to help them out in a lot of their marketing endeavors and that, and I think that I should really be getting on that and sharing that information with them.
Yeah, and again, don't be afraid. Remember, if you're using all the various different strategies, that they're not going to feel like they're bombarded. They're going to be, if you're providing value add, if you're providing them with information, you're updating them on information. It's not just buy. It's, you know, write any content from the context of the consumer, what would resonate with them, what would be of value to them, and I guarantee you're going to see an increase in the number of people who are going to use your products and services as a result of it. So everyone take on that 30-day challenge, and I'd love to hear back from you in terms of how kind of results you're getting. If you want to watch this episode again, remember you can go to hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. Kerry is spelled Kerry, and you can see past episodes. You can be notified about upcoming episodes, and you can get tips and strategies from me regularly by going to hangoutwithcoachkerry.com and asking to be kept informed. Join my Google Plus community. It's one way that I want to keep in touch with you. So again, it's Passport to Growth Academy on Google Plus by Coach Kerry, and come and tell us there about you. Use it as an opportunity to promote your business, and it's a way for me to be able to provide you with tips and strategies, and a way for you to connect with other people in business just like you. So again, remember, live Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific. You can find me at hangoutwithcoachkerry.com, and you can look at all the archived episodes there as well. So I look forward to talking to you next week. Anyone, thanks very much to my panelists, and have an awesome week. Bye-bye.